This segment is about watching thoughts. We all have thousands of thoughts a day. Some of them are true, some of them are not so true. Some of them are kind of true in some circumstances, but not in others. But our minds get busy clinging onto them and giving us lots and lots of thoughts that kind of push and pull us around. It can be useful to get good at kind of starting to be able to stand back and look at thoughts rather than from trying to look out amidst all of the pushing and pulling that they're doing around us. So I wonder if I could invite you to just do a little experiment with that right now. See if you can just sit quietly for a moment and bring your focus to your breath just for a moment, noticing your breath coming in and going out. You can close your eyes if it helps to concentrate a little bit. Just noticing your breath coming in and going out. And then notice if any thought pops up anywhere in all of this. And when a thought pops up, see if you can just zero right in on it and try and stay with it. Try and stay right with your thought for a few moments and see what happens. And then bringing your attention now back to me, to the screen here, see if you can just start to reflect for a moment on what you noticed. You might have noticed that your thoughts disappeared. They all went into hiding when you tried to notice one. You might have noticed that you found a thought, but then it kind of evaporated. You might have noticed that you found a thought, but then it kind of led to another. All kinds of things can happen, but it is really useful to practice this watching thoughts, because as we get good at standing back and watching our thoughts, we can have an opportunity for them to push us around a little bit less. So what you might do is just try and do that little exercise every now and again over the next few days. Just stop every once in a while and see if you can notice a thought. Pay attention to it and see what happens. And if you watch it over the next several days, you might notice that there are actually a few thoughts that seem to keep coming back, or different versions of them that seem to keep coming back. Most of us have kind of a top 40 playlist of thoughts that seem to be our favorites, that seem to keep popping up, especially thoughts about ourselves. So if you notice what's happening with that over the next little while, you might also start to notice that there are kind of types of thoughts, sort of categories of thoughts that pop up. You might notice that maybe there have been a cluster of anxious thoughts, maybe several sad thoughts for a while, maybe some cluster of thoughts that are kind of angry thoughts. Just see if you can notice what those patterns might be. It can be actually kind of validating for our experience to be able to notice that we're having thoughts that are setting us up to feel a certain way. It's a normal part of human experience, and being able to stand back and see it helps us, again, be pushed around a little bit less by it. As you start to do this more and more, you might even start to think about sharing it with your team. Just kind of sharing that you've noticed that you've had a lot of this kind of thought today or a lot of that kind of thought today. Not by any means suggesting that they do it, not asking them about their thoughts, but just showing them that that's something that you can do to actually notice and pay attention to your thoughts. And that's really powerful modeling that might help them start to get a little bit more curious about their own thoughts.